Okay, hi. My name is Matt Mullen, and I am your child's government teacher. Although, really, is it really fair to call your students like children now because your children are of voting age? In fact, I learned recently that several of the students in my government class are 18 and are eligible to vote in the election in a couple of weeks. So uh, it'll be kind of interesting to work on that with them and discuss the election, which is something I'll get to in a minute. But let's get to the procedural stuff first, then we'll talk about that kind of stuff. So um, first and foremost, let's talk about grades. So 40% of your student's grade comes from review packets. This is something I got from the college classes that I took, where the homework would be given to you like in the first, really at the start of the semester, and it would be due at various points throughout. Um, the way I work with the students is at the start of each unit or module, as they're called in Canvas, they have their homework for the entire unit. Sometimes a unit is about a week, week and a half long. So all of their homework is contained within that one packet, and then it's due when we take the test. So we're taking a test tomorrow, so the unit packet is due tomorrow as well. That's kind of how that works. And again, this is designed to reflect a college class, which your students will be in a couple of months. High school's almost over. Uh, Next, about 20% of the class grade comes from in-class participation. And to be honest, we're still not really sure what that looks like in the digital world, but the idea here is having your students be engaged. We have a lot of discussions. We're gonna have a lot of like anonymous polls about political issues to see how the students feel about them. Just participating in that and being part of the discussions and activities that we're doing will help the students get an additional 20%. And then the final 40% of their class grade is going to come from tests and their final exam. That's just standard history stuff. Pretty much every history class is based on a similar grade weight ratio. Okay, so that's that stuff. Uh, Now let's get to the fun stuff. So here's the thing. We are going to be discussing some controversial topics in this class because this is a government class. And for a lot of people, even how the government works is seen as controversial. So for us, we're going to be spending a lot of time looking at the government structure, why it is the way it is, and we're going to be looking at current events and see how they tie into how the government was originally constructed. I often pull out my copy of the US Constitution, which of course I keep with me at all times. And we will talk about, okay, the government is doing this. What does that say in the Constitution and how does that reflect? We do this a lot. We're also going to be discussing multiple point of views on some controversial topics. Things like flag burning, does that count as free speech? Do religious practices count as free speech? Do protests count as free speech? And when is there a line, and when do any of these things cross it? Which it turns out the Supreme Court has made rulings on most of these things already, and we will look at those Supreme Court rulings and how it relates to the Constitution. The goal behind this is to have your students be informed citizens. Part of my job as a history teacher, but especially as a government teacher, is to help your students critically think about issues and make decisions about how they feel about issues and why. And that last part perhaps is the most important. How do you feel about this issue and why do you feel that way? In this class, we don't want to hear the answer of, oh, because. Really, as a voter, the students should have more of a informed decision that they're making. And that's kind of what I want to do in this class. So what that means for you as parents, we are going to discuss controversial things. I mean, if you've looked at the propositions this year, there's already some controversial stuff on there. And my job is to help you prepare your students to know how to vote, and not like vote any way that I would want them to, but to be informed about voting. So we're going to bring in issues from both perspectives, I should say, from both sides of political issues. I beg you, you need to embrace this controversy and not run away from it. Your students are at a point in their life when they are intellectually curious. And it's no surprise that one of the first classes that allows them to see, like unlifts the veil of the world that they live in, discusses the issues of the world that they see, is their government class. So it's no surprise that one of the most popular majors for students entering college is government, especially in an election year. It's because we're going to talk about controversial things and students are going to learn that their opinions matter. So I beg you as parents to embrace the controversy and not run away from it. If we talk about something controversial, don't shut your students down. It's the worst thing you can do for their intellectual growth. Instead, figure out how you can embrace the controversy. Maybe show them how to look up multiple opinions and multiple sides of different arguments and help come to a consensus with them. Embrace their curiosity. Do not run away from it. It is the worst possible thing you can do to a student of this age. And remember, your students could be voting in 6 weeks or 24 months. We have another election coming up pretty soon. And my job is to make sure that your students are prepared for any election that they ever have. Because think about it this way, a lot of what we're doing was decided by a school board, and many of them ran for office, and very few people even know who they are. Well, that's one of the things I have to teach your students about. That way they always make the most informed decision that they can that will line up with their views and goals and hopes for the community they live in and for the country they live in. So that's all the time I have for today. If you guys have any questions, you are always free to email me. I check my email pretty often. And that's basically all I have. So if you have any questions, please shoot me an email. Again, I apologize that this meeting code got changed. That happened very last minute. But my motto for this school year is it's going to be chaos, and then we're going to fix it. So we had some chaos. We fixed it. We're all going to get through it together. We're going to have a great school year. All right. Thanks for coming, guys.